fantasy people? This is Tyler, the beardless, big time ward coming at you live. Actually, I forgot to say, Jason, the lucky bastard Uthermolt, coming at you live from the West Coast. It's a little bit warmer now. There's no more snow. And, shaved my beard because I was drunk last week and it turned out terrible. But hey, yeah, sometimes you just got to press reset. So, anyways, today's episode is the free agency breakdown. So it's just kind of like, our first impressions. We're going to go over, like hardcore offensive line, defensive line, once all this is kind of completed and everything, because that's the most important part of fantasy football and like what can change a football team. But there's a lot of skill position players, even some quarterbacks that change teams. And we're going to talk about that today. So before we get into that, Jason, would you please tell the public how they can help this show?
Yeah, we could appreciate some little support from you guys. We try to put a lot of effort into this. It's something that we love. If we get a little bit of support, that'd be great. Some more support. If we get subscriptions, some likes, and some comments, that goes a long way at the Fantasy Footballin Show. And you can also find us on the Instagram, the Fantasy Footballin Show, if you want some additional content.
All right, man. And if you're, watching this show, being like, man, Tyler looks like lame. Where the hell is he? Is he like in his wife's like art room? Like, oh yeah, man. Good guess. Good guess. My parents are here. Family's here. I got to do what I can do to bring the content to the people.
He manages football, fantasy football teams, and he manages time when he has parents in town and dealing. I don't know. Forget
Call
that.
me King, dude. Call me King.
Dang.
Because I conquer time.
Yeah, the conqueror of time. Okay.
So let's just dive right into this because people don't care about me and you. Mama said, Mama said, Aaron Rodgers, Jason. I know it's not official. He came out on the Pat McAfee show, Thursday? Said he wants to play for the Jets. The news is that the Green Bay Packers want a first-round draft pick for him. So until that happens, it doesn't look like it's going to go through. But, dude, the Green Bay Packers want to move on from Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers wants to move on from the Packers. So it's probably going to happen. So we're just going to talk about this like it did happen. Jason, Aaron Rodgers to the Jets. He was a number 15 fantasy football quarterback last year. He had a pretty good completion percentage, 65%, 26 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. How do you feel about this move?
Aaron Rodgers' lucky number last year was 16 because I swear this guy would only give me 16 points every time I started him. Hold on, where am I at? Okay, so the New York Jets, they were 15th overall with 219 passing yards a game, right? And then what we get from like Aaron Rodgers? Aaron Rodgers threw for 3,695 yards last year, and that was 11th in the league. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers going there is going to be an upgrade from the famous Zach Wilson, right? And
Infamous.
And Mike is no longer there. Mike is going to go play backup behind Tua. He's eventually going to get some starting play too because Tua right now cannot stay healthy. But something we'll probably talk about a little bit later. The Jets have already brought in another Green Bay Packer wide receiver, Allen Lazard, signed him to a contract. So they're really trying to get Aaron Rodgers in there. It's going to be an upgrade, obviously, if you have Aaron Rodgers over the jabronis that I mentioned before. The only thing is it's like, once you're in the doghouse, if you're kind of like a newer, younger receiver and you're not doing what Aaron Rodgers wants you to do, you kind of get in the doghouse and you kind of get left outside in the cold and nobody loves it. You don't even get dog treats or dog food. So that I'm kind of a little bit worried about when it comes to like Garrett Wilson. One person I am not worried about if that happens is Breece Hall going for the Jets.
That's assuming he's healthy. We don't know anything about Breece Hall yet. Adrian Peterson ruined every injury ever for everybody because, he came back and ran for 2K after he tore his ACL. So now we have these lofty expectations of these players, but he is really young. Like, man, like when I was young, I was like a rubber band. I would just go right back to where I was. Now I'm like a silly putty. I just lay there, dude, on the floor, just like sprung out.
calling into work. That's what I do.
My back, my neck, and my back.
Yeah. My neck and my back.
So yeah, so Brees Hall is very interesting. I do think that he will get much more scoring opportunities this year if he is healthy. So that is great. They had their, Vera Tucker or whatever his name is, and Beckham or something. Dude, they've had some like amazing offensive linemen that they've drafted the last couple of years, but they have been injured. So I think a lot of the success hinges on the health of the offensive line and the health of Brees Hall. Now, I do want to say that the Green Bay Packers had the number 3 rated offensive line. That was PFF too. I can't get all the PFF stuff, which is PFF is like Pro Football Focus or something like that. But dude, guess what? I'm not going to give you $20 a month so I can see the other 30 offensive linemen, whatever it is. Okay.
I know, dude. I tried looking up that stuff yesterday and I was like, oh man, this is like a great website. I was like, what do you mean it's only showing me 3? What about the other 29? And it's like, you must sign up. I'm like, all right, maybe they just need like an account. So I signed up and then they're like, okay, so do you want to do $20 a month or $109? I'm like, are you kidding me? Delete, clear search history. I don't want any part of that crap. That's bogus. That's crap, man. That's just like cheap trying to get money. It's like, oh my gosh, get out of here, PFF. More like PP in the FF, bro. Get out.
Oh,
get out.
Hopefully they're not subscribed to this show because you're going to change your name after you hear about PPs and FFs.
Yes, if they are subscribed to the show, I'm very sorry, and I will pay tonight if that's the case. Give us all your producers and editors, please. That'd be great.
Okay, so I do want to mention though, Jason. So yeah, Green Bay, that was PFF number 3 rated offensive line. That means Aaron Rodgers had a really good offensive line, but his pace of play, dude, for the last 3 seasons have been in the bottom third of the league. So I don't know if that's an Aaron Rodgers thing or if that's a Matt LaFleur type of thing. It's a very slow offense. We're going to see if that carries over. There's Nathaniel Hackett is back, but 3 seasons that includes Nathaniel Hackett. So the Jets, Jason, they're projected to be, this is a Pro Football Talk, I'm pretty sure, website, the 29th ranked offensive line for 2023.
Well, you also mentioned before they've been dealing some injuries, right? And they had an injury in preseason last year, one of their top guards. Do you remember the name? Because I remember
I think it was the Vera Tucker, dude.
Yeah, okay. Because I remember he even went down, and I was just like, "Oh shoot, I don't know if I want to get these running backs now because he went down." People like Brees Hall, they still did well under that line. Maybe when you have a veteran quarterback, MVP a few times, Aaron Rodgers, he might be able to manage the line better. But with it being Aaron Rodgers, I'm more concerned. It's like Garrett Wilson had a really good rookie year last year. Is he good enough to be? I guess he's probably going to be number 2 to Lazard. Who would you rather have first? Would you rather have Lazard or would you rather have Wilson?
So we all know this. I say we all know this, but maybe you don't. Throughout the years, especially lately, the big jump for fantasy football wide receivers is their rookie to their second year. Garrett Wilson passed the eye test. I mean, he was like the most productive. The thing is, man, he got targeted like 10 plus targets a game a lot of the times when he was successful. So we're going to need to see. And he was drafted, above Christian Watson last year he was the number 1 wide receiver, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
So, he was graded out, more talent. I mean, you saw him, dude. He's awesome. I do not think that is going to affect. I think it's more of going to be the second wide receiver that it's going to affect. Elijah Moore, I think, is going to maybe get taken out by Alan Lazard just a little bit. But I think Garrett Wilson we're going to need to see if Aaron Rodgers how much he's going to commit, like if he's actually going to show up to all the offseason stuff. But I'm pretty excited for I'm excited for Garrett Wilson because, dude, I mean, Mike White was really good for him, but dude, Aaron Rodgers, I'm telling you, man, like he's going to be on a revenge tour. I really believe in Aaron Rodgers for 1 year. I think he's going to play MVP football for 1 year. I'm pretty sure because, dude, he's got a chip on his shoulder all the time. He talks about it. Like when he was drafted, I mean, you saw him in the green room. That's like, dude, he got passed up by everybody in the league pretty much. He's a revenge type. Yeah.
Even Brady Quinn got drafted before him. And
There you go, dude.
that's what the famous Aaron Rodgers on camera going, wow.
We got a bodybuilder as a quarterback. How is he going to throw? But yeah, dude. So I really believe in Aaron Rodgers this year. I think he's going to throw 40 touchdowns and 10 or below interceptions. So I would really like to have Garrett Wilson this next year if the price is right.
Okay. All right. Aaron Rodgers is definitely doing a Brett Favre tour, 2023. He's doing exactly what Brett Favre did, went from the Packers to the Jets. And who really benefited out of the Jets when Brett Favre went there? This guy that you like to talk about because he has python arms is Thomas Jones, the running back. Did absolutely great for them. And I also had one of the wide receivers from the Jets. I oh my gosh, Jericho Cotry, if that was his.
Yeah.
Ooh, he said his hands were like possessed and they were insane. So I was like, I gotta get this mofo. He actually did pretty well for me too. I can't remember if the Jets actually made the playoffs that year, but Brett Favre with the Jets did pretty well enough to be a starter for most fantasy teams, and we're going to see it again with Aaron Rodgers.
But I'm telling you, dude, they need. I mean, he's going from the number 3 offensive or number 3 rated offensive line to the 29th. So that's top of the league to the bottom of the league. So, but if you hear these people all these talking heads and everything, those tackles that they drafted in that guard is amazing. So we need to see what their health is, because if they're healthy, I'm going to really believe in the Jets. If not, I'm going to maybe walk back my Aaron Rodgers comments a little bit, but I still believe he's going to do well. But as far as MVP season, I think he could have an MVP season if this offensive line is healthy.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. He also has to. We're gonna have to get through the NFL draft where they might be able to draft some offensive linemen too, but not too really concerned about the defensive side. Looks like the only concern would be the line.
Okay, so last thing we'll just talk about as far as our fantasy football draft, I would take Rodgers ahead. I mean, I would probably take him about where he went this year. He went with Tom Brady, Russell Wilson, and all that stuff. It's not going to be the same. I wouldn't want Russell Wilson that much, but in that kind of 6th round, 7th round type of stuff. I would not mind grabbing Aaron Rodgers there just for the chance of him having an MVP season this year, because you're not going to get any rushing bonus from him. He's not going to run anything. And then Garrett Wilson, he's him and Breece Hall are the only people that I really want to target from that team.
Yeah, give me some Breece Hall. I'm down for some Garrett Wilson. As long as he put in the effort and make Aaron Rodgers happy, he's going to be effective. Garrett Wilson is going to make the jump, and he's going to put up some touchdowns. He's going to be close to double digits this year. Watch.
Yeah. So I like that. Aaron Rodgers was the number 15 fantasy football quarterback this last year, and I guarantee he's going to be probably top 10 this next year. So that's a 50% jump, whatever. So next up, Jason, do you have anything else to say about Aaron Rodgers?
Nope.
Derek Carr, the Baco boy. Baco boy's here, Baco boy's there. It's funny how he's got this Southern accent, but his brother talks like he's from Bakersfield. I don't understand where Derek Carr got this accent, but let's just go with it. Derek Carr was the number 17 fantasy football quarterback last year. He had a good completion percentage. I mean, anything over 60% is not that. I mean, really, in this day and age, you almost want to get push 70%, but anything over 60 is reasonable. And this is a down year for him. He had 24 touchdowns and 14 interceptions. So, Aaron Rodgers had 2 more touchdowns and 2 less interceptions. They had pretty similar years when you look at it. But now he's going to a defensive coach in a terrible division. Jason, how do you feel about that?
I don't like it.
I don't either.
I was really hoping they were going to stick with Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston did resign, so he's going to be the backup because Andy Dalton left. I want to say Andy Dalton went to Carolina because, they got players on that team or wide receivers at least, Chris Olave. Wait, I was tripping. I was like, maybe did he get drafted first or was it Garrett Wilson? I still think it was probably Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, Chris Olave was high up there and he's amazing.
Yeah, it's like him, Drake London. Anyway, and last year, the Raiders, they were Oh, they were 11th in the league with 231 passing yards per game, and now he's going to um, the New Orleans Saints, who were 16th in the league with 217 yards per game. And yeah, Derek Carr, he threw for 3,552 yards, even though I think he missed the last two games, if I remember correctly. Um, it's going to be a little bit different in New Orleans just because they do have a better defense than the Las Vegas Raiders. So they're probably not going to have to rely on his arm that much, and maybe could do more of like a little short passing and like the running game, especially because they just got a new um, running back, and they also re-signed Michael Thomas. I do like Michael Thomas as a structure, as a foundation, but if he could just stay healthy, like how he hasn't been able to for the past like 2 or 3 years, if he could stay healthy, I think he could be something to be worried concerned about when it's just like going up against him, right? If he's not on your team. You gotta remember Michael Thomas was one of the best wide receivers not too long ago, right? He like led he had the triple crown, I almost want to say, before like Cooper Cup. Um, but with Derek Carr in there, he's just so inconsistent. I keep just remembering last year when it was like in the fantasy playoffs where he was going against the Steelers, and I was like, he's just going to tear him up, and he only got like 4 points that game, and you're like, dude, Derek Carr, what are you doing? You know, it's just one of those things where I think I'm over Derek Carr, right? I think I'm over it, right? And now he's going to a team that he's probably not going to have to air it out as much. I mean, look at that division right now. It's kind of just being crumbled within. It's imploding. The Saints have a good chance of winning that division. Right now, the Buccaneers. I don't know. I think that the Saints have a good chance. I don't think he's going to have to be playing from behind a lot. I right now I do have more concern with like the wide receiver core, because if it was Jameis Winston playing, I was like, oh, give me Chris Olave, give me Chris Olave, give me that dude. And now I'm just like, well, does it really make a difference? And then if Andy Dalton was there.
So, Jason, Derek Carr, I think led the league. I mean, since he came in the league with fourth quarter comebacks. And if you know anything about fantasy football, man, like garbage time is a real thing. So, I mean, he's been feasting off of garbage time since his whole career. Now he's going to go with a great defense in a terrible division. I could see them just running the ball, eating clock,
Yeah.
whatever. So I think Chris Olave, like I said, dude, he's all about separation. Separations. He led the league in like separation from cornerbacks or whatever. He's amazing, but so I'd still want to draft him because of the jump and everything. Maybe he is that Devontae Adams type of guy that he hyper targets. But the person that I'm really excited about is I think that it's going to have the most effect on Juwan Johnson, the
And he
tight end.
resigned.
So the tight end that I was all about last season, man, he was on all my waiver shows. He had a stretch of 7 games, 7 touchdowns. So I think that if you're going to wait on a tight end, I think Juwan Johnson is somebody to target. But if you listen to Jason and I, we're gonna push getting a quarterback early, getting a tight end early, and then rolling your dice with these running backs that get injured all the time. But if you're in the camp of waiting on tight end, Juwan Johnson is somebody that you might want to target.
Yeah, and they just re-signed him too. I mean, we've seen what Derek Carr and Waller were able to do, and the tight Juwan Johnson. He's like you said, 7 straight games that he had a touchdown. Yeah, he could do that again with Derek Carr as the quarterback. But
And yeah.
I don't see drafting Chris Olave. Like, I don't see his ADP going to rise, right? I still see it in the same spot as if, it was still like Andy Dalton. Because also think about it, like Derek Carr, it's weird to be like saying this as a quarterback, but he's still going to be splitting time with Taysom Hill.
Yeah, and last thing I want to throw in there, Jason, the Saints are projected to be like the number 17 ranked offensive line next season. The Raiders were pretty much like the number 19 offensive line. So as far as offensive line goes, it's not going to really change that much. The biggest change for him is going to be the defense, having a defense and a defensive head coach. He went from offensive head coach to a defensive coach, even as John Gruden was an offensive coach. So I don't think that he's going to have his best year as a quarterback. I would not want to draft Derek Carr as my fantasy run as my fantasy quarterback in 2023.
And I agree.
All right, Jason, anything else on that?
Nope.
All right, let's talk about Jimmy GQ, the hottest man in the NFL. Just ask the Golden State cheerleaders who they think the hottest dude in the NFL is. So Jimmy Garoppolo was the number 20 fantasy football quarterback, but this was in points per game since he was injured. So if these people are injured on this list, I just go by points per game, just to instead of like extrapolating the numbers. So even then, he was in a conservative offense. He was only the number 22 fantasy quarterback, which is not good, but he had a 67% completion percentage, which is amazing. 16 touchdowns to 4 interceptions. So like you see those numbers, and he was injured. That's actually pretty good. So, but Jason, I mean, and he's reuniting with Josh McDaniels. How do you feel about that?
Bold prediction. Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be the starting quarterback for the Los Angeles Rams for 1 year.
No, the Raiders.
The Las Vegas
Raiders.
Las Vegas Raiders for 1 year, and then he's gone. He's out of here. Likely, I mean, he's 31 years old. I'd be surprised if he has a career after that. If not, he's going to be a backup. It's funny how like people. Okay, so the San Francisco, 49ers have a great, they have a good scheme for their offense. So overall, good team, offensive defense, but their offense was pretty great. And for Jimmy Garoppolo, like he got outplayed by Mr. Irrelevant, right? Somebody who was very last rookie was putting up better numbers than Jimmy Garoppolo. The Raiders over here are like, oh, we lost our quarterbacks. We need to get Jimmy Garoppolo, right? Why? Because like 5 or 6 years ago, he was like his first 7 games he ever played, he was undefeated and got that huge contract. Dude, Jimmy G, it's not it no more. He is not the answer. He is not the answer. I don't like this. And I think right now, with this, Davante Adams, fantasy draft pick or ADP, whatnot, is going to drop, right? Because I was thinking, like who did Jimmy G really throw the ball to a lot? He had Deebo Samuels. I was like, no. Like, he had Deebo Samuels last year, and Deebo Samuels was like very frustrating to have on my team. The year before that, Deebo Samuels was like so good just because he was also getting around like 8 rushing touchdowns, 6 rushing touchdowns. So now I'm just like, even with one of the best route runners in the league, Davante Adams, like I am scared to get him because Jimmy G is the quarterback.
So I don't know how I feel about this. I kind of don't mind. I think he's going to open up a lot more because the Raiders have a terrible defense. This is an offensive coach. I think that he's going to have. I think Jimmy Garoppolo is going to have his best year. I mean, he's going to have his best year relative to the last, like since he was on the 49ers. They got Jacoby Myers in there, who I like a lot. They've got Foster Moreau that's taking the place of Darren Waller. They've got Davante Adams, who is not happy about any of this. I mean, he's already made it clear. He went to the Raiders for Derek Carr. A lot of that was, and so I wouldn't mind like maybe rolling the dice on a Jacoby Myers who might get hyper targeted and already knows the offense and is going to have like the stress relief of Davante Adams on the other side. So he was getting double teamed all the time in New England. Now he's going to be free to run. So I'm kind of interested in Jacoby Myers. That really does make a difference. And Foster Moreau, I think, is going to be an okay tight end, but I wouldn't want to draft him.
So I agree. I'm sorry. I agree what you say with, because the one player who was really standing out with Jimmy Garoppolo was playing was Brandon Ayuk, who was the number 2 on the team. So Davante Adams, he's going to get double, triple team. You're going to have Jacoby Myers. Tyler, you said famously he loves to do those drag routes. So he's going to do that every play. And he's going to get like 10 targets, 8 receptions a game, because they're going to have to play from behind, and Jimmy Garoppolo does not throw the ball deep. So he's going to be feeding Myers. We're going to see a lot of targets to Myers this year. But I still like to get Josh Jacobs. I still like Josh Jacobs in this matter.
Yeah, so they're following the league and just franchising your running back, because, I mean, you just saw Ezekiel Elliott get cut. People do not want to pay the running backs. I mean, Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs. So I think Josh Jacobs is going to do well. I mean, I think all this kind of stays the same. I think that Jimmy Garoppolo is at least going to have as good as a year as Derek Carr in this offense because Jimmy Garoppolo already knows this offense. You know, Derek Carr was his first year, and as far as historically goes, you want the second year in an offense to really succeed, and Derek Carr didn't even get that chance. So Derek Carr kind of got screwed. People are talking crap about him. Derek Carr is not nearly as bad as they say. But I do want to throw in Jason. So the 49ers had an amazing offensive line. They're projected after they lost McGlinchey, they're only projected to have like the number 11 ranked offensive line next year. But last year, dude, I mean, they were like top 5 offensive line, top 5 defensive line. The Raiders, bad offensive line. I mean, they're projected to be the number 19 overall. So he's going to go from a really good offense, man. Everything's scripted. I think that's going to stay the same because Josh McDaniels, as much as he looks like a douchebag, he's cool. I mean, as far as creating plays for people, I think he's really smart. So I think the offense is going to stay the same, but he's going to have a lot more opportunities, and he's going to have a lot worse offensive line. So as far as staying healthy, I think it's going to be a challenge for him. He's going to have to get rid of the ball fast, but Josh McDaniels is used to that, dude. Tom Brady, that's all they did was release the ball fast. So yeah, dude, I'm like, oh man, I'm starting to buzz pretty hardcore on this beer, Jason.
I'm buzzing, and I feel gutted because I'm buzzing.
Buzz.
I'm gutted. Ick.
So yeah, I mean, I just think it's gonna be interesting going from a really good offensive line to like a below average, not terrible, but below average offensive line.
Okay, so one last thing is that I mentioned that I'm kind of afraid with Devontae Adams. I think his draft value is going to drop a little bit. Do you agree or disagree? Go.
Yeah, because dude, hyper targeted, super hyper targeted from Derek Carr. They already had a rapport. Now you're getting to some dude that he's never even played with. Devontae Adams isn't happy. You're going to have a very competent wide receiver too, because Matt Collins is good, but Jacoby Myers is way better. And you have Hunter Renfrow in the middle, who's going to be healthy this year. He was not healthy last year, and when he's healthy, he soaks up targets. But we don't know about that in the what's Josh McDaniels' offense. But they got rid of Darren Waller, so I could see Hunter Renfrow maybe soaking up some of those targets. So I am going to actually put Devontae Adams. I don't know who's going to overtake him. I need to look at my wide receivers again. But, I still really like, Justin Jefferson, Cooper Kupp, and Jamar Chase over him. But I need to see who else is on the list to see who I can put him behind. But I do have less confidence in Devontae Adams going forward.
Tyreek Hill, too. I'll get him over.
Yeah, I'd get Tyreek Hill over him, too. Especially, Jason, are you done with this?
Yes.
Especially because Mike White is going to be the backup for Tua Tagovailoa. I like Mike White, and dude, as long as you're accurate in the Josh McDaniels offense, not Josh McDaniels, dude, Mike McDaniels offense, you're going to be pretty good. So especially when you have those wide receivers. So I think that those wide receivers are going to actually benefit from having Mike White as a backup there, because as soon as Tua goes down, it's not going to be Teddy Bridgewater, who is fine, but he's like made out of glass too. It's all Mr. Glasses over there, dude. They need a beast.
Yeah.
What was his name in that? What was the other guy's name? Was it
Mr.
the Beast?
Glass.
No,
Oh,
but
Beast. Yeah.
yeah.
The 26th personality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Jason, how do you feel? I mean, anything you want to say about that?
No, I just know Mike White's going to get some playing time, and it's not a bad backup to have. I mean, I don't know. Mike White should have been playing for the Jets last year instead of Zach Wilson. So
there you go. And then,
he'll get his chance, and I still think the crossing routes with Waddle and Hill are still going to be relevant because Mike White will hit those.
oh hell yeah, dude. And then last person who I don't really want to talk about, but hey, we got to talk about him. Baker Mayfield. Tampa Bay has a number 9 ranked offensive line. The Panthers had number 13. He did terrible on the Panthers, but if you light a fire under Baker Mayfield, that's when he does well. So I just remember all the talking heads were like, hey, Baker Mayfield should go to Tampa Bay. Great weapons, pretty good offensive line. He could succeed there. But I don't really care about Baker Mayfield or Mike White. So who cares about that?
Well, there's going to be less passing and all that fun stuff because with Tom Brady there, I think they even broke the record for the most like passing attempts in a season. But you're getting that out of Tom Brady. You're not going to want that out of Baker Mayfield. And if Baker Mayfield has to do that, your season is pretty much done. So I have
Good point.
Yeah, I have no like faith in Tampa Bay because they also lost Leonard Fournette. It's like now I'm just like, okay, if I he is so like Mike Evans, I'm like he's definitely dropping. Chris Godwin, maybe dropping, but not too much. But I'd be very surprised if Mike Evans continues the streak of 1,000 yards. But was a team that was just like passing the ball a lot, but they were able to do that with GOAT taking the snaps. Now you got Baker Mayfield who's just jumping all over the place. Buccaneers is going to be battling to not get the last place in that division.
All right, Jason. So let's get into the running backs. You're gonna know the running backs because I'm gonna do this. All right.
What is that?
When you're watching this video, I don't know, man. It's a visual cue, so you know the running backs.
Oh, it's a visual cue. I was like, I was thinking, I was like, what running back does that? I don't know. I never know what Tyler's doing over there.
You're gonna go through the list. You're gonna be time stamping, and you'll be like, "What's Tyler doing?" You're like, "Oh, it's running back."
Now I get it. I get it now. I get it now. I'm gonna be like, oh, okay. I was like, there's one. There's one.
So Jamal Williams, we're gonna go in the order of like how they performed last year. Jamal Williams, dude, number 9 fantasy football running back last year. Swift was injured most of the year. Swift is much more, he is the more talented player. I mean, you watch that fool. But dude, Jamal Williams only 27 years old. He's hilarious. He loves Pokemon. I love Pokemon. We should be friends, man. Pokemon friends.
Yeah.
Lions. Dude, the Lions. The Lions have an amazing offensive line. They're still ranked number 6. I know they're top 5 in PFF. But he's going to the Saints, who are number 16 offensive line. He only averaged 4.1 yards per carry, but he had 17 touchdowns, Jason.
I know, and that is a single season record for the Lions. He beat out Barry Sanders. This was kind of interesting, because they picked up David Montgomery, and I was like, okay, now I don't know what to do with that Lions backfield, like Swift, Williams, Montgomery. I was like, there's too much. There's not only one ball, and there's 3 running backs that you're potentially could draft in your fantasy league. And then Jamal Williams went to the Saints, and there he took over 1,000 yards rushing and 17 rushing touchdowns. So then I'm thinking, I was like, Alvin Kamara, that dude is barely getting touchdowns as it is the past like 2 years. Now he's not going to get the goal line carries. I'm like, dude, that burns Alvin Kamara. Alvin Kamara is going to have to his draft stock is definitely going to lower because of that, or fall back because of Jamal Williams there.
Dude, there's a court date for Alvin Kamara. Remember this last year? We were like, do we draft Alvin Kamara because all this legal stuff? Well, it happened. There's a chance he gets suspended for a while. So, and they don't. It's not like, and they are 2 different players. Alvin Kamara is not the goal line back. If you remember, Ingram, so this is almost like a Mark Ingram situation. I don't love Jamal Williams, but I could see him getting 10 touchdowns this year on the Saints offense. And, it's a defensive team. They're going to run the ball a lot. They upgraded the quarterback a little bit. So yeah, I like Jamal Williams. And if I'm really pushing for quarterbacks and tight ends early, or no, and wide receivers. So sorry, tight ends. Oh crap, dude, and wide receivers early. And if you want to wait on running backs, I think Jamal Williams might be a safe bet, as a running back number 2, to get you a decent amount of touchdowns and a decent amount of yards, but he's not catching any passes. And you need to pay attention to Alvin Kamara, because if Alvin Kamara is taking, 4 weeks off, vacation on the beach because of the gel or whatever, you probably want to draft Jamal Williams.
Yeah. If Alvin Kamara is playing, I probably not even going to think about Jamal Williams, because then I feel like it's going to be like a Lindell White situation, right? There's no
Thunder
way.
And lightning.
Yeah, thunder and lightning. But Jamal Williams is going to just fall down and be touchdown dependent, right? We were talking about many episodes that you don't see Jamal Williams breaking off these 60-yard, 50-yard, 30-yard touchdowns. He's going to get the ball at the goal line, and he had 17 touchdowns last year. That's not going to happen this year, especially when, who the Saints also use at the goal line? Taysom Hill, right? So he's going to have to share it with the quarterback, and then every now and then you're going to see Alvin Kamara in there. I don't see him getting 1,000 yards this year, and I don't see him getting 17. I see him getting around 8 to 10. I think your best hope is that Alvin Kamara, has to miss games because of his situation. At that point, I would have Jamal Williams on my team because he's probably going to get most of the carries, and it's going to be more of a volume thing.
So you're looking at a secondary running back being better than DeAndre Swift as far as availability and health. I love Alvin Kamara. I drafted him as rookie year. He helped me go to the championship. I don't know if I won that year. But yeah, so Jamal Williams is going to regress. Do not target Jamal Williams. I mean, if you're for your number one running back, you're going to want him later on. So, Jason, you ready for the next one?
Why don't we just take a quick break before we start breaking down all this other stuff? We still got a lot to go. We got only a few more minutes.
Sounds good. Hey, people, we'll be right back.
Catch you on the dark side of the moon.
Okay. Okay. We back, people. We back. We talking about fantasy foosball and the foosball players. So, anyways, we just talked about Jamal Williams. Now we're on to Miles Sanders. He was a number 12 fantasy football running back last year. He's only 25 years old. He does get injured from time to time, especially this last year. But the Eagles were number one in the offensive line. Like, they dominated offensive line this year. And now he's going to go to the Panthers, who were number 13 offensive line. If you remember correctly, like, what they made Deontay Foreman and Chuba Hubbard look pretty good. So it's not terrible. He averaged 4.9 yards per carry, Jason, and he got 11 touchdowns. I do not see that repeating as far as yards per carry and touchdowns, but I think he'll be a serviceable back.
Yeah, and it kind of sucks too because I've complained about this over many of episodes that the Eagles, they use all three of their running backs, including Jalen Hurts, when it comes to the goal line. So he could have got some more touchdowns last year, but it just didn't end up working that way. But he still ran for 1,200 yards. This guy, he was a player last year that I was like thinking about getting, but then I'm like, this guy gets injured every freaking year. I'm not going to deal with it. I'm not going to deal with him. He actually ended up playing every game this year. And then, coming off from the Philadelphia, where they were fourth in the league with 152 yards per game. Now they're going to Carolina, who were 10th in the league, averaging 130 yards a game. But you were right. They were doing this with players with Devontae Freeman and what's his name?
Foreman.
Devontae Freeman. Why
That's
is
it. That's that
dude.
Oh,
That's
he played on the Ravens, I think.
Yeah, he was Atlanta. He did play for the Ravens, but he was Atlanta Falcon. But yeah, Devontae Foreman and the other guy you said, like Chuba Hubbard. Well, Devontae Freeman, he's out. He's playing for the Bears now. And for a second, I was like, you know what, dude? I don't know. I don't know if I really like this, but Carolina could not throw the ball last year. So what they do, they ran the ball. And it was to the point where I had both running backs from the Panthers on my team. I had Devontae Foreman and I had Hubbard. And I was just like, when one of them's hurt, who's ever starting, I was playing them. And they were still in the top 10 in rushing. Like I said, they average 130 yards rushing yards a game. Bring in Miles Sanders, he could definitely find the end zone. Like I said, he had like 12, or you said he had 12 touchdowns last year. And Devontae Foreman is gone. This is possibly a good spot for him. My only thing is, actually, you know what? Because of that division, I don't think there's going to be a lot of time where they're going to be like, down 14, 21 points in their division and having to throw the ball to claw back. I think there's going to be a ground and pound season for the Panthers, and he might be a good pick. He might be a good pick this year. Obviously, he's going to be the starting running back. He's going to share some time like he did with the Eagles. I'm pretty sure he's only going to share time with one other running back instead of two other running backs and a quarterback.
I think he's going to have a lot of opportunities this year because Frank Reich is an offensive coach, and they're going to draft. They just traded up to the number 1 overall draft pick. They're going to probably pick C.J. Stroud, knowing Frank Reich's history with tall people. I mean, C.J. Stroud's like, I think C.J. Stroud's like us. Jason, he's like 6'3", but dude, they had Phillip Rivers and like Matt Ryan, like 6'4" or 6'5" dudes. Like, I heard a stat like his Frank Reich's average height of quarterback is 6'4". So like, I could see them going C.J. Stroud, and I really like C.J. Stroud a lot. CJ Stroud will run the ball a little bit, but I can see that Miles Sanders is going to probably run into the ground. So I don't mind picking up Miles Sanders on my fantasy team if I'm waiting on running backs.
Yeah. I think if you're going to wait on running backs, Miles Sanders is somebody you need to target. I think this guy is going to actually, if he stays healthy, if he could do back-to-back years with healthy seasons, I think he's going to perform again. He's going to get you another like probably 10 touchdowns, 1,000 yards.
All right, Jason, you ready for the David Montgomery or no?
Yeah, David Montgomery. This is a guy. I'm going to cut you off, Tyler. This is a guy who I was like, at first, I'm like, why are the Lions doing this? This is bull crap. This is bull crap. I don't like it. But then they let go of Jamal Williams. You know, from what we've seen in this past year, I don't really think they're going to give the ball to DeAndre Swift, 20, 30 times a game. He's very athletic runner. Swift, he's able to swift his way around defensive players. See what I did there? But I think because he's injury prone, they don't really want him to carry the ball that many times. So they were giving the ball to Jamal Williams last year. That dude's gone. Bring in another young buck. He's only 25 years old. David Montgomery. I think David Montgomery is going to really change the role and be the Jamal Williams. I think he's going to be the goal line back, and I think he has the possibility of getting, 1,000 yards again with the Lions.
Dude, like I said, the Lions have pretty much top 5 offensive line, right? The Bears had number 20 offensive line. So I've read reports that he is salivating to go to the Lions and play behind that offensive line. So, and it's not like he's got a quarterback that runs all the time, right? It's Jared Goff. So he can catch passes. He can take a load a little bit. I took a load 30 minutes ago. Poop jokes never work on the line. On the line.
On the line. On the
line. So he's going to go to a much better offensive line. He's going to have more opportunities to run. Jamal Williams is out, who had 17 freaking touchdowns. I'm going to target David Montgomery in my fantasy leagues next season.
Me too. It's going to be you and me battling for this guy. I had David Montgomery in years past. I drafted him in his rookie year. So I had to watch these Chicago Bears games, and their offensive line was just like, it was just crap. David Montgomery was getting hit in the background or in the backfield. And this guy, he's a pretty good runner, and he could break tackles. He would be able to elude or just like shed tacklers. But once you get, that was behind the line of scrimmage. And then once he got to the line of scrimmage, it was too much. He didn't do well. I didn't really believe in him. He had that one pretty good year where he was like breaking off runs, but the Chicago line, like you said, Tyler, is not great. And now he's going to one of the top defensive lines. And as we've seen in the past, they like to run the ball. He's going to take over Jamal Williams. You're praying that he gets that same result as 17 touchdowns. It's probably not going to happen. But I bet you David Montgomery is going to have more rushing yards this season than Jamal Williams had last season.
Correct. And he's not going to hit 17 touchdowns, but he will overcome those yards and be more efficient with it. He was the number 23 fantasy football running back last year. That's going to go up. He's only 25 years old. 27, 28 is kind of the cutoff. 28 is usually the cutoff for running backs. The Bears were number 20 ranked in offensive line. I think I already talked about that. But yeah, 4 yards per carry and 5 touchdowns last year. Did not do very well. So look for David Montgomery to rebound. And then speaking of which, Jason, did you see who the Bears traded for? Or signed? They signed for him.
You mean DJ Moore?
Deonta Foreman, dog.
Oh no, yeah, I mentioned that earlier. I mentioned that, like Devontae Foreman.
Oh yeah, you said Devontae Freeman.
Yeah, he's no longer a Panther. He's now with the Bears. That doesn't really faze me as much, just because of Foreman's age, and now he's,
he's only 26, Jason. He's only 26.
Oh,
Foreman.
is he? God.
Yeah, he looks like he's him and P Ryan look like they're 50, but they're 26, 27.
I feel like he got drafted by the Texans like 10 years ago. But still, Kali, what's his name? Herbert. He's definitely
Khalil Herbert. Yeah, dude.
yeah, he's definitely the better runner out of the two. And now with David Montgomery out, Herbert's going to like control that running game. Devontae Freeman's going to be in there. There's going to probably be plays where they're both out there in the
Deontay Foreman, dude.
Devontae Foreman. Gosh, Devontae. You know what's funny? I had Devontae Foreman on my team. I don't know why I'm struggling so much. Devontae Foreman will even probably be back there with Herbert on some of those plays, but I'm definitely a big fan of Herbert going in this year.
Yeah, so I think that you hit the nail on the head. Khalil Herbert is the person you want. He is the younger, more explosive running back. Deontay Foreman kind of had everything go for him last year. He had the 3 touchdown game, all that kind of stuff. I went against him when he had 3 touchdowns. He only had 5 touchdowns last year. And the Panthers had a much better offensive line than that with an offensive coach. Now he's go to Eberflus, who's the defensive coach, and with a running quarterback. Do not target Deontay Foreman in your leagues. If he falls to you like a couple rounds later, maybe pick him up. But don't worry about Deontay Foreman.
I think now he's more of a handcuff. Yeah.
All right, Jason. And this is your favorite player. You ready for your favorite player?
Yeah.
Samaje P. Ryan.
Oh, I know. So this was a guy that I was really trying to keep an eye on. He's going to the Broncos, which at first, I didn't like because I was hoping he was going to get a starting running back role. He's not going to have the future starting back role there with Devontae Williams, but he may have it in the beginning and maybe actually get some more. And then he's going to have it in the beginning because Devontae Williams is likely going to miss some time, and then they're going to probably slowly bring him back, and then maybe go like a kind of Melvin Gordon, Devontae Williams type thing. But right now, Samaji is a better runner than Melvin Gordon. I think he could really produce. If you're looking at players who could perform early in the season, I definitely think he's one to target. But if Javonte Williams is there, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard to play this guy.
So he's only 27. Like I said, he looks 50.
Yeah.
Bengals were number 16 ranked offensive line coming up next season. I mean, whatever. But that's mostly because they didn't gel till later on in the season. But you saw Samaje P. Ryan, like, dude, whenever he played, he really did. He was like a number 2 running back for you. 4.5 yards per carry or 4.1 yards per carry, only 2 touchdowns, but he had 38 receptions for 4 touchdowns. I think that's important in the Sean Payton offense. You saw Alvin Kamara. He loves to throw to the running backs. He's going to keep it short. And also, the Broncos are heavily investing in their offensive line right now. So look for their offensive line to actually make a huge jump forward because, what's his name? God, dude, I can't even think of his name. Sean Payton. He doesn't really care about he'll invest all the money in the trenches, which is what you should do, and then he'll identify. He trusts himself to identify skill positions for cheap. So I do like Samaje P. Ryan, but this all hinges on Javonte Williams' health because I could see Javonte Williams totally taking that Alvin Kamara role. If you watch Javonte Williams, he's amazing. So we'll have to wait on that. And then I'm pretty much done with Samaje P. Ryan, Jason.
Yeah, I think Pierre Ryan's going to do most of the damage in the beginning of the year, and maybe in the middle when Williams is coming back from that injury. But I think towards the end it's going to be Williams. When it matters most, in the playoffs.
Oh yeah, totally.
Williams is probably going to be back by then. So.
And then I'm super excited about this next player, Jason. Put a star next to this dude.
Okay.
Rashad Penny going to the freaking Eagles, man. Going to the Eagles. He was the number 65 fantasy football running back last year. He's only 27. If you remember when he got drafted, he was a first or second round draft pick. He was like going to replace Marshawn Lynch. Dude, he averaged 6.1 yards per carry. That is insane. And only 2 touchdowns because he was injured. But man, if this fool is healthy again with the Eagles offensive line, Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, dude, I'm going to target Rashad Penny in my draft next year.
Yeah, there's no doubt that Rashad Penny is a good runner. He is a good runner. He was a good runner for the Seattle Seahawks. No one ever could doubt that. The only thing is he can't stay healthy, and that's a problem. But that's what we had an issue with Miles Sanders going into last year too. But the offensive line, really helped him at least get some touchdowns, and we could see that with Rashard Penny splitting the carries between two other running backs because Boston Scott resigned, and Jalen Hurts. Yeah, he could put up a Miles Sanders type performance. Also, to go off of that, Tyler, like a little piggyback, I think a player to look out for because Rashad Penny is on that team and he has a history of getting injured is Kenneth Gainwell.
Oh,
Gainwell.
Kenneth Gainwell, dude. Kenneth Gainwell is amazing, but they do not want to use him. They refuse to use him, man. They refuse. I thought you were gonna say Kenneth Walker the third. That's why I was like, yeah. But yeah, Kenneth Gainwell. I love Kenneth Gainwell. Like, dude, you saw him in the Super Bowl. He's amazing. But they're never gonna give him the ball. I don't understand why, but they are just not gonna give him the ball.
Maybe because he's a little bit underweight. But I feel like if there's going to be games where Penny's going to miss, I feel like Gainwell's going to take good opportunity out of that.
All right. So you and I are both pretty. I mean, hey, man, he's worth the roll of dice. Depending on where he goes, dude, Penny could be worth
Yeah.
a lot more than a penny. He could be worth a silver dollar.
Yep. A penny for your
Um,
thoughts.
yeah. So penny for your thoughts. I'm gonna pee my pants, Jason. I do want to mention the Patriots did sign James Robinson. I think that is something to look out for. I do have to pee.
Yes. So what Tyler urinates. I was actually pulling up this information because since they got James Robinson, I mean, that's good because this is a guy that they brought in, and he's not going to do a lot of he's not going to take away a lot of carries from Stevenson, like Devin Harris or whatever that guy's name, Harris, that was the running back for the Patriots, was threatening to do. And because they got this running back, you already know that they're not going to go out and get another running back. And in free agency, maybe they'll draft one, but like the late second, third day, where it's kind of just like a rookie in like the third or fourth round. But because of this pickup, I think this actually has Ramondre Stevens draft value, his stock go up because I have now you're starting to see that Belichick may have more faith in his running back and is not going to play mind games and be like, oh, this guy, this guy, this guy. No, I think James Robinson will get his every now and then, but I think now we're going to see a really majority of Stevenson take the snaps. And we're not going to see like another running back enter the New England Patriots and really steal the role unless it's some breakout rookie that they get on the second or third day of the NFL draft.
Dude, I'd still roll right now. I'd be like, give me that roll. I love rolls, man. Give me some butter. Give me some rolls. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so James Robinson, I just want to throw him in here because he's been a fantasy football darling forever. Now he's going to a run first team, even though the Jets were a run first team. Who knows how that worked out, dude? I don't understand. He was amazing 1 minute and not startable the next.
Yeah.
But it's
I
worth
think
paying attention to.
I think this helps Stevenson's stock value.
I would target Ramondre Stevenson next year, dude. Like he's amazing, and it's not going to stop.
Right. And now you're not going to be threatened with another running back stealing half of the touches.
Yeah, and they have Bill O'Brien or whatever, and I mean, he had when Bill O'Brien was in the Texans, they ran the ball, so I could see that being a good pick. Jason, so we're done with the quarterbacks and the running backs. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
Some honorable mentions. Um, Alexander Madison staying with Minnesota. I know that is a disappointment for a lot of people. They wanted to go see him be, starting running back elsewhere. Both running backs, Raheem Mostert and Jeff Wilson, are staying with Miami. And then we got Zeke Elliott, who's a free agent, Leonard Fournette, free agent, Kareem Hunt, free agent, and I think those are all really the honorable mentions. So, where we
Kareem
at?
Hunt. I'm interested to see where Kareem Hunt goes. That's for sure.
Oh, me freaking too,
I think
man.
he's only 27, dude.
Me freaking too. You say we're going to wide receivers?
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, as far as wide receivers goes, I mean, you could see DJ Moore. I'm not targeting DJ Moore until I see it with my own eyes, but like that was a big thing, and that was more of a trade. And then we talked about Jacoby Myers. What else is there, Jason?
Let me look. Let me look. Let me look. You're going too fast, man. I can't keep up.
I'm the fastest man alive. I just watch. Guess what? Every episode of The Flash, there's somebody faster, man.
I know there is. There really is. You're not joking. Yeah, we already talked about Alan Lazard, Jacoby Myers, Juju Smith going to the Patriots.
Oh, good job, good job,
I do not like that. I do not like. Oh, do you like it?
dude. They said it was an upgrade. I'm all reading these people. They're like, oh, the Patriots upgraded with Juju Smith. I'm like, are you watching the same thing I'm watching? Because Jacoby Myers is way better than Juju Smith.
Yeah, I agree. And now Juju Smith, look at the performance he had last year with Patrick Mahomes throwing him the ball. Wasn't anything to brag about. And now he's getting Matt Jones throwing him the ball.
No
Maybe,
thanks.
he might get replaced halfway through the season. So I think the Patriots are going to rely heavily on the run and defense this year. I do not like that for Juju Smith. I think Juju Smith is an idiot. And I don't know much of anything else. There's not a lot of wide receivers that were picked up in free agency right now. So
All I heard was that the free agency class for wide receivers sucks, and that's why the Bears getting DJ Moore was an amazing thing. Because
so
yeah, so there you go.
so what do you think, Tyler? So DJ Moore is now a Bear, but I'm more like, you know what? I don't know if this is going to convince me to get DJ Moore like any earlier, but it is going to convince me to get Justin Fields earlier. Like I feel like this is a bigger bump for Fields than it is for DJ Moore.
Exactly. I think that's a great take because DJ Moore was pretty much the only dude on the Panthers, and now he's going to compete with Mooney and Claypool. Who's going to be in the slot? Because they're paying DJ Moore a lot. He's going to be the X. He's going to be the one. Who's going to be on the other side? It's got to be Claypool, dude. He's like 6'4". So are they going to put Mooney in the slot and just like? I have no idea. I'm very interested to see how this works because he does have chemistry with Mooney, but there's no way that they're going to put Mooney in the slot. There's no way they're going to put DJ Moore in the slot. DJ Moore is going to be the one.
Yeah.
So that's kind of tripping me out right now. I have to see how this goes, and they better draft offensive linemen, dude. Like they need offensive linemen up the butt.
They have
So
to. They have to go offensive lineman. I'm more interested in getting Mooney over DJ Moore, and Mooney being like a flex, like maybe number 2, just because he already has like a rapport there.
He's not going to get double teamed anymore.
Right. And then another thing I wanted to add, actually, Tyler, I don't have anything else for wide receivers. I mean, I think majority of the conversation for wide receivers is going to come during the NFL draft. So
After the draft. So this is a good. I mean, I know that the running backs are really deep this year, but I think that it's kind of an average year for wide receivers. But hey, dude, I mean, rookie wide receivers have been contributing for like the last 5 years now. So
yeah,
I think wide receivers are going to be heavily hit by us after the draft, like you said.
Yeah. Then I'm good because I want to throw something in with the tight ends if you're okay with that.
Oh yeah, you're right. Forgot about Darren Waller.
Not just Darren Waller, but the Bears also picked up Robert Tonyan Jr. Tonyan Jr. from the Packers.
Did he really? I didn't see that.
The
That's probably
Bears,
just a move to make Jordan Love worse.
well, so the Bears have 2 tight ends now. 2 tight ends have shown that they can perform. I mean, Clement's obviously the better athletic one, but I don't know. I'm like, ooh, that kind of got me thinking.
I'm serious when I say that. Like Jordan Love's going to come in and probably want to heavily rely on his tight end. Now he's going to have to rely on some tight end that's unproven. And if you know anything about tight ends, they don't pop for a long time. Like it's not like wide receivers or anything. I mean, look at Kyle Pitts. Look at even what's his name, dude, for the Lions, man, Hawkinson. Took him a while to get going. Now Gronkowski, I drafted his rookie year, and I predicted he got 10 touchdowns. He got 10 touchdowns. Other than that, dude, tight ends do not pan out in their rookie or sophomore year.
Yeah, you normally got to wait.
Mm-hmm.
The thing you say about Kyle Pitts is now Atlanta has Geno Smith, that Smith guy.
Yeah, and then Jason, you told me about Gesicki earlier, and I was like, "Who cares about Gesicki, dude?" They had Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry or whatever, and Hunter Henry is the guy that that Mac Jones has a rapport with. He's like the TD target. I don't think that Gesicki's gonna. I think he's gonna have the same years he did last year. Not worth owning.
Gesicki went to New England. Hayden Hurst went to Carolina.
Did he really?
Yeah, Hayden Hurst is now Carolina at age 29 with the quarterback Andy Dalton.
Yeah, so I think that people need to look into the tight end for the Bengals and see who's going to come up because I know it's not Tyler Croft. He left. Now Hayden Hurst left. Cannot remember who the next up in line is, but do some research, find out who that is, and maybe target him late in drafts.
Okay, and then tight ends. That's pretty much it. Some honorable mentions still out there is Dalton Schultz down with the team. Uh, Austin Hooper still not with the team, and not that it really makes a difference because this guy's almost 40 years old. But teams are actually going after Mercedes Lewis, but he's kind of asking for a lot in return.
Dude, he's older than I am.
He's older than you?
Yeah.
I know. He's 38.
I'm 37. I just turned 37.
Barely.
And I don't have cancer.
Nice. You're immune. All right, what do you think? Going over some offensive tackles real quick, something quick.
Yeah, so Orlando Brown Jr., he was a 4-time Pro Bowler. I thought the Chiefs were going to re-sign him. The Chiefs were targeting somebody else. I can't remember who it was, but
Von Taylor.
Thank you.
Yeah, they got him too.
And that he's probably just worked for the scheme more. But Orlando Brown, I would call him Orlando Bloom. You know, he's just like, phew, 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 phew.
See, he could help. You know what he does? He protects the hobbits to take the ring to Mordor. He protects Patrick Mahomes to throw the ball, and now he's going to protect Joe Burrow to win a championship.
And he's got great vision. He's like, do you guys see those orcs? They're like, no.
I read Dawn. There was bloodshed last night.
I tried to watch Red Dawn on my birthday, dude, and I got all excited, and it was in Spanish.
Yeah.
And I couldn't even understand. As much Spanish as I took, I still couldn't understand. It was terrible. I need to watch that Patrick Swayze Red Dawn.
Classic.
I've never seen it. So I do think that the Bengals continue. It's the Bengals are competing with the Chiefs. It's just like this chess game. And I think the Bengals made a great move picking up Orlando Brown. He had one of the worst draft pro days or whatever combines of all time. He was like the top rated left tackle or whatever. And then like he was drafted in the second round because he was so bad. And then guess what, dude? He actually was good. That's why you don't pay attention to these combines sometimes on these players. Like, if just look at the tape. And he 4-time Pro Bowler. So I could see I'm pretty excited about Joe Burrow next year. I would love to have Joe Burrow next year.
Yeah. You know, Orlando Brown Jr., he's a good left tackle. We saw it last year when he was protecting Patrick Mahomes. Now he's going to improve that defense or the offensive line for the Cincinnati Bengals. You know, they're like, maybe this is what we need to keep Joe Burrow upright and be able to throw the ball and win some games. Maybe they think that was a deciding factor last year in the Bengals Chiefs game was the defensive line. So now they got someone that can help protect them.
All right, Jason. And then what else is there on the offense? Is there anything else that stands out to you?
There's a few more.
Okay.
Just kind of like to point out. So, you know, the San Francisco 49ers, they also had a very good offensive line. And what you said, Mike McGlinchey, he went to Denver. I think
that's a great move. A great move.
Right. And then Ben Powers, their guard from the Ravens, who I mentioned in a couple episodes ago, he's in Denver. Dude. So you said it 5 minutes ago. Sean Payton is going after the trenches. You know, he wants to get that team back that can make sure that what's that dude's name? Russell Wilson does not feel the grass blades on his body.
Dude, and you saw that, like, they're like, oh, Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy are for trade. Yeah, because they don't care about it. It's like they need the number one thing in the NFL is protecting your quarterback. Like, if you can give these quarterbacks time, they look way better than they actually are. So the same thing that he did, like Teron Armstead and all these. I can't remember some of these offensive linemen from the Saints over the years.
Yeah,
but man, like the first thing he did was just gut the offense and invest all in offensive line, all in defensive line. And he's doing the same thing again. I was watching it on Colin Cowherd, and like that is the smartest thing you can do. And if you pay attention to Chris Long and all these other players, the offensive and defensive line control the game. So like for fantasy football, we need to pay attention to the offensive line ads. I can see the Denver Broncos being so much better next year. And it's not because of Russell Wilson and all this crap, getting his upstairs office taken away. It's because of their offensive line.
Yeah,
So, dude.
well, just to add to that, Tyler, like you are making perfect sense. Let's get a little ding ding. Ding, ding, ding. And this is show like even in history, Sean Payton has been all about the offensive line because he actually traded Jimmy Graham to Seattle Seahawks for their center.
A year after they paid him.
Yes.
He finally, I mean, think about the wide receivers for all I can think about is Marquise Colson and Jimmy Graham. They finally paid Jimmy Graham. They used him for a year and then traded him. So it's like they do not invest in their skill positions, man. Like it's crazy.
They just want that offensive line. And before we go into all the defensive side, the Cowboys, Connor McGovern, he is now a Bill. Andre Wiley, one of the top tackles. He left Kansas City and went to Washington. And then
So
the
Eric
Chicago
Bieniemy,
Bears,
Eric Bieniemy gets his dude.
and then the Chicago Bears do get Nate Davis from Tennessee, guard.
And the Tennessee Titans have had a pretty bad offensive line for a while. Taylor Lewan and all them, they're all old. They even cut Taylor Lewan, so it's like, yeah, man, it's so much of fantasy football hinges on the trenches, but nobody cares, dude. Everybody's like, oh, they like the shiny objects, dude. I'm telling you, if you want to be good at fantasy football, pay attention to this stuff.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, Tyler.
And
100%.
yeah, so are you ready for the defense or no?
Yeah. I'm just waiting for my computer to upload.
Okay, because I want to say, dude, I cannot believe that the 49ers got Hargrave from the Eagles.
That was something that happened early on in free agency, and I was just like, dude, I can't believe this. Like, I'm happy that he got out of the NFC East, but then he just went to the San Francisco 49ers, who already had like one of the top two defenses last year, and now they're just going to add to it. So,
Oh, good, man. Dude, the 49ers are going to like literally obliterate. Like, they didn't even allow, like, I don't know. They allowed like 0 points in the second half for like so many games. Dude, it's going to continue. It's going to continue on, man. Like, if you're in, I would not even want to draft people from that division almost. It's like, the 49ers are going to be right back where they were. It's all about the offensive line. They lost, McGlinchey and whatever, but their defensive line is going to be insane. So Nick Bosa with whoever the hell else, I forget. I know they've got like 6 different almost Pro Bowl type players on the defensive line, but they needed a defensive tackle. They had the edges going. They needed a presence inside because that's where like that's where like disruption up the middle, like Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, all these players. That's what is like the biggest difference maker in the NFL these days. And now they got like, dude, like the number one off. They got the number one defensive free agent, and it's on the number one defensive team. Man, it's insane.
If you have a running back going against the 49ers, do not start them. Leave them on your bench. Wow. So, and also one of the top linebackers, inside linebacker, Tremaine Edmonds, he is now for the Bears. So the Bears also upgraded on their defense.
They got a couple linebackers, dude.
The Bears are definitely known for their linebackers. So I feel like this is a good fit for Edmonds. He can also help lead that defense, be the general.
And didn't he get with his brother too? His brother is Edmonds he's got a brother on there too.
Oh, nice. I did not know that. Jesse Bates III, he was a top safety. He's going to Atlanta. Atlanta has made some top moves this free agency to really be a factor in that division. And with everything crumbling, I could really only see the Saints in Atlanta battling at the top. Who's going to win that division?
Arthur Smith, though, like he's a coach for the Falcons. He wants to run the ball and play defense.
Yeah,
they have not been able to play defense, and so now they're getting a player that is going to really help them.
Yeah, Dalvin Tomlinson, Tyler, he's leaving the Vikings to go to Cleveland as a defensive.
All that.
this week we had something weird where Darius Slay Jr. was going to possibly leave the Philadelphia. He said his goodbyes, and then they're like, "Oh, we're just kidding. We're going to give you an extension." So he's still a cornerback, and they also bring it. The Philadelphia Eagles are also keeping their other quarterback, James Bradbury. The one cornerback that is actually leaving is for the Steelers, Cameron Sutton. He's going to Detroit. Detroit definitely desperately needed a cornerback on their team, and
And
they
he's
got.
actually really good. Like
Yeah,
he's actually really good. Like when the Steelers started playing defense is when Sutton was stepping it up. And Patrick Peterson, Jason, do you see that he went to the Steelers?
yeah. I think he was just a cash and grab type thing.
He's old.
Yeah, he's getting up there. He's getting up there in age. There's a reason why that like teams are just doing a contract, and then when the contract's over, they're not really keeping him. He's just getting up there. Pretty good cornerback overall. 30 out of the years. He's 32 years old, but he's getting up there. One person I wanted to talk about most definitely was Stephen Gilmore. I could not believe that the Cowboys were able to get this guy for a 5th-round pick. And the good thing is, it's like he doesn't have to be their number one cornerback on that team. You got Diggs on the other side, so he could be a number two cover. You got Gilmore covering number two wide receivers on the field. Holy crap, that is crazy. I think he's a huge upgrade in the secondary for the Cowboys, and the Cowboys were also able to keep Dominic Wilson, which
Van Der
Tyler,
Esch.
huh?
Van Der Esch, Jason, I beat you to it.
Oh, I was saying Dominic Wilson, but yeah, him too, because you mentioned that Wilson was one of the best run blocker safety.
Oh, right. Correct.
Yeah, they were
Run
able to keep Van
stoppers.
Der Esch too. So, Dan Quinn, he's got to work some magic and see what he could do with these with Gilmore. But pretty excited about that. I'm pretty excited about that.
So if you thought Stephon or if you thought Trayvon Diggs was a aggressive cornerback before, just wait, dude.
Oh,
He about to get super aggressive. So
yeah, he's going to get some touch, or he's going to get some interceptions next year.
I don't believe in drafting tight end or god dang it, man. Defenses until last pick. But guess what, dude?
Yeah.
If I see the Cowboys up there in the second to last round, I'm gonna pick them up.
Yeah, so also Jalen Ramsey went to the Dolphins. I'm guessing it's to help against Josh Allen when he plays against them. The thing is, though, is that they played against him in the season opener last year, and Stephon Diggs had like 100 yards on a touchdown, but it's still
Yeah.
an upgrade.
And that sucks because Xavier Jones or whatever his name, Rhodes, I can't remember.
Howard.
Howard, god dang it, dude. I remember it was X Factor. He was amazing for the Vikings, and I was like, oh, watch him, dude. He's in a blanket Diggs. He did not do a good job against Diggs. So let's see if Ramsey can help that secondary out because Xavier is not the same player as he was for the Vikings.
And one player, Tyler, that you do enjoy, because we talked about it for the Steelers, Devin Bush is going to Seattle.
And that I think that is crazy, dude. I think that the Devin Bush, his rookie year was amazing, right? And like, dude, he's so fast. He's awesome. He's badass. But like I don't know, dude. I thought that was just really weird that the Steelers would get rid of one of their top rated linebackers. So I'm losing courage or whatever in Devin Bush.
I think he's going to flourish in that system. I think he's going to do well.
That's a young defense, and they actually started flying around
Yes.
last year by the end of the year.
Yes, Pete Carroll. Watch out for Seattle's defense. They got a few more players.
Jamal Adams is going to be healthy too, dude.
Yeah, and they got a defensive tackle. I want to say they got him from the Chiefs. Like he was a former player that went to the Chiefs and came back. But anyway, watch out for that defense. And honorable mentions that are still there on the waiver wires are Frank Clark.
The Clark Knight.
Yeah, Robert Quinn, Marcus Peters, Javion Clowney. God, I'm reading like two names at once. Bobby Wagner. Some of these players we're probably going to see get picked up as the offseason continues. But Tyler, I hope you're not peeing. We got like a minute left, but I don't know about you, but I feel like we're done for NFL free agency live.
Man, I almost peed my pants right there. Like literally, I was like, "Oh my god, we got a minute left. Can I make it?" I said, "No, I can't make it."
But yeah,
uh,
good. Unless you're good or you got something to say.
oh no, and hey guys, we're gonna hit this up later on because it's not done yet. So it's emotional. We kind of do some research, but like we're gonna hit hard and heavy in the offensive line and defensive line because that's what matters the most. So thank you so much for watching.
Next week we're doing AFC North or NFC North. The Vikings, King of the. I can't wait to get into that. Or their needs. So, Kyle, you want to send us out of here?
Hey, people, we'll catch you on the flip side.
I'll see you on the dark side of the moon.